It's a large building in the middle of mostly nowhere, scrubland and pasture land out in central West Texas. And I think for Andrew, the idea was to have a space which was close enough to home but was also unencumbered by any number of restrictions which come along with urban spaces.
You know, rolling up in 2008, my first impression was shithole.
It was gross in some places, especially these rooms, these beds here.
It's an old boys' home, as I understand.
The porch was a church.
I think it's still a church in some ways.
And then it was converted into a boys' home for troubled youth, you know?
Like somebody this year found like a hand-drawn escape plan, you know, to get out of.
Well, every room was filled with just boxes of paperwork and moldy mattresses.
Yeah, various church tracts and fear-mongering about AIDS and Satan and
dead things and a lot of bugs. And
Like the fenced-in, really not functional basketball court that's made of grass. Like that was it's a very.
But yeah, no, he bought it. I mean, I don't know which kind of bank lent him the kind of money that he needed to buy it, but somehow, some way, he slipped through the cracks, and God bless him, he bought a church.
I'm not sure how long it had been abandoned for, but all the posters and weird artifacts that were left behind by the previous owner kind of indicate this strange, out-of-touch AIDS, satanic panic era. And there's this kind of frozen in time feeling to the whole place. You know, having a poster that says you can't get AIDS from a swimming pool on the wall. It just kind of transports you to this very strange land of our childhood, I guess.
There certainly are some relics in that place that really make you wonder what was going on.
Yeah, no. So you pull into like a dirt driveway, and you walk up, and it's like a columned patio, which is kind of nice, like 10 feet deep.
It's a little unusual because it's very out of context to what I'm used to growing up, like in a small church.
The doors are adorned with all kinds of Andrew's nice little subtle touches, rearranging the letters on the tiny little open sign marquee. And there's a nice chalkboard with all of the laws of the land and how to respect the venue and each other. And then you walk through a tiny hallway where there's a refrigerator, usually full of beer, and then some of Andrew's awesome t-shirt designs that are available for purchase, barter, or theft. And, uh-oh.
I really like his art. I think it informs us on ourselves. Like, I learn something when I look at his art, which sounds, I know.
He's the textbook definition of mixed media. Line drawings, illustrations, paintings, screen printing, linoleum cuts. He makes sculptures.
Not gonna lie, Andrew's art is weird.
Yeah, Andrew worked at a car wash place I can't remember for a long time. Probably like close to 10 years or something. And I know that he had to empty out the vacuum cleaner, so he would find lots of cool stuff, not always stuff that he used for his art, but he found a lot of that stuff in those vacuum cleaners. And he would also find cool stuff like DS games and stuff. Sometimes he'd give them to me. It was pretty cool.
What'd you do today?
I just drank some beer, played some board games, and bought a wedding ring and some Christian literature and some coffee.
Am I in a movie? This feels really like a movie.
Andrew's art is kind of an anomaly to me.
He has this incredible knack for finding very obscure images from magazines and old books. I feel like I keep accidentally looking at the camera because it's there.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't. Is that part of, like, you don't give a shit about any of that stuff, do you?
No.
Okay. He takes all of these images, puts them together in a way that creates this kind of like nostalgic, off-kilter, surrealist, like atomic age weirdness. It looks like if the 1950s were in this alternate universe, and that's not even fair. That's too limiting for the breadth of what he actually does. But
Sometimes he'll use like corporate imagery to make sort of tongue-in-cheek comments on, I don't know.
At first, I was scared of Andrew.
What kind of person is Andrew?
Figure out Andrew? Fucking good fucking luck.
He lets the art speak for itself, I guess.
Yeah, he's mysterious. I know him well enough to know he's authentically mysterious.
Andrew is probably one of the hardest working artists that I know. He works constantly, and he might also be the worst art salesman that I've ever met in my life.
A guy tried to introduce himself to Andrew, and Andrew goes, "Don't worry about it." I thought that was so cool. I thought that was really cool.
This is definitely my favorite right here because I've seen that sign so many times.
And Andrew Kendall shows a brutality of man that reminds us that we're still animals, but there's a classic innocence in it where you think that you can be better than you are.
Seems like he's just kind of putting stuff together, but it seems very perfectly placed.
I think it's called like Business World or In the Business or Capitalism or something. But it's one man on the ground and another man on top of that man. The man on the ground he's got handcuffs on.
Always had it above my toilet because that's usually where I do most of my business.
When you look at his work,
serious business,
you don't really know what to make of it. It seems to mean two things at the same time. Is this naive outsider art, or is it political satire? Is it social commentary?
This is really good stuff. That makes me think. So there's another one. There's another one over here that you have to see. It's
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
The baby eating itself like in the wall always is like, that's just fucking awesome.
Like the family portraits with the air balloons instead of faces and stuff.
Sometimes
like
it makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable, but like in a good way.
Like condensed in his art is a perspective that is both very tongue-in-cheek and like existentially aware.
This, the Cousteau, and I absolutely love this. I don't know if anyone else does, but total faves. This one, the birthday party, is absolutely amazing. My ex-girlfriend said it was really Russian, and I know bears are Russian. I didn't know accordions were Russian. But she was so inspired by this that she made this little collage, which I thought was a really cute send-up to Andrew Kendall, you know? It's good when people are so inspired. I like it a lot.
Anyway, so I walk through and there's like a main area where everyone is kind of screaming and playing games.
The chapel is large.
And
It's definitely an activity center. I always enjoy.
You have people off the ladder.
Yes, I do. It's a signature hat.
It's huge. You go through that, you go to the left, and then there's another stage or another place where a band can play. It's tiled floors. It kind of looks like a
linoleum.
Follow me.
We got a PA.
Okay, so I don't know how true it is. I hear this room's haunted though.
All right, the President of the United States. If you want to have a bigly good time, there's only one place, all right? Only one place, Novemberfest. Go there, listen to your hippie music, you know, do your drugs, all right, whatever. Drink your drinks, all right? You're a bunch of miscreants, you might as well enjoy it, okay? All right? Believe me, the one place to be is Novemberfest. Where's Ivanka? I want to talk to her right now. She's gorgeous, beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Frog went a-courting and he did ride. King Kong, kitty, kitty, cry-me-yo, with a sword and a pistol by his side. King Kong, kitty, kitty, cry-me-yo, cry-mo-key, away down yonder in a holler tree. An owl and a bat and a bumblebee. King Kong, kitty, kitty, cry-me-yo. He took Miss Mouse up on his knee. King Kong, kitty, kitty, cry-me-yo, and he said, little mouse, will you marry me? King Kong, kitty, kitty, cry-me-yo, cry-mo-key, away down yonder in a holler tree. An owl and a bat and a bumblebee. King Kong, kitty, kitty, cry-me-yo. Miss Mouse had suitors 3 or 4. King Kong, kitty, kitty, cry-me-yo, and there they came right in the door. King Kong, kitty, kitty, cry-me-yo, cry-mo-key, away down yonder in a holler tree. An owl and a bat and a bumblebee. King Kong, kitty, kitty, cry-me-yo. They grabbed Mr. Frog and began to fight. King Kong, kitty, kitty, cry-me-yo, in that holler tree 'twas a terrible night. King Kong, kitty, kitty, cry-me-yo, cry-mo-key, away down yonder in a holler tree. An owl and a bat and a bumblebee. King Kong, kitty, kitty, cry-me-yo. Mr. Frog hurled the suitors to the floor. King Kong, kitty, kitty, cry-me-yo, with his sword and his pistol he killed all 4. King Kong, kitty, kitty, cry-me-yo, cry-mo-key, away down yonder in a holler tree. An owl and a bat and a bumblebee. King Kong, kitty, kitty, cry-me-yo. They went to the parson the very next day. King Kong, kitty, kitty, cry-me-yo, and left on their honeymoon right away. King Kong, kitty, kitty, cry-me-yo, cry-mo-key, away down yonder in a holler tree. An owl and a bat and a bumblebee. King Kong, kitty, kitty, cry-me-yo. Now they live far off in a holler tree. King Kong, kitty, kitty, cry-me-yo, where they now have wealth and children 3. King Kong, kitty, kitty, cry-me-yo, cry-mo-key, away down yonder in a holler tree. An owl and a bat and a bumblebee. King Kong, kitty, kitty, cry-me-yo.
The kitchen I don't think anything inside of it works.
Don't use the kitchen. It's not a kitchen.
There's a large table which you could use to play D&D and put your cigarettes out on.
And if you go to the right, then there's a skinny long hallway where there's like bedrooms on every side.
It's where all the troubled boys would sleep at night in these strange little rooms with these sad wooden beds. There is a like locker room of sorts, an old, I assume it was, like a communal bathroom basically. There are showers.
If you do use the showers, beware of the raccoons.
Keep going, there's like a structure at the back.
A white structure of some kind that often serves as our mess hall during Novemberfest, but generally weird little room.
A few years ago, he did the white garage, where it was like everything was white.
The year that we did the show in there was like my favorite year ever. It was awesome.
That's also next to the cooking pit, and there's a campfire.
All right, what do you want to know? What do you want to know about Novemberfest? There's a lot to know, I guess, right?
It's completely non-pretentious. It's practically free, and everybody's welcome, and everybody is encouraged to be themselves and do whatever they want to do.
Music.
2 nights of music.
Friendship. Love.
It's about a whole lot of people coming together and just trying to be nice for once.
To my knowledge, it's like a no dick drawing on the face kind of place, to where it's like, you fall asleep there, people will not draw dicks on you, man.
Artists or musicians or actors or writers, every possible artistic medium you can imagine.
Honesty.
The walls come down, there's no boundaries.
A really palpable sense that you get when you're there at Novemberfest is that you're sort of off the radar.
It's out in the middle of nowhere, so you don't have to worry about like any trouble with the police or anything like that,
Live music constantly, overindulging in barbecue or beer or whatever your fucking vice is. It was a good 2-day respite from everything.
Have fun, make art, love on each other, be happy.
Probably the coolest venue I've ever played, but that's not saying a lot either.
How many Novemberfests have there been? 12. 12?
Yeah.
Ooh.
If it just, fizzles out and dies or whatever, then, it was an incredible experience for now probably 400 to 500 people, that have come through here.
These are just classic Texans, Republicans, family values, good Christians. They're not your New York liberal, I like avocado toast bullshit. These are just like salt of the earth good people, I mean, I can talk about my mortgage with these guys.
I feel like a lot of different types of people attend Novemberfest, but once you get to Novemberfest, you become a certain type of person.
It's usually artsy people, musicians primarily. Everybody is either a person who's really into music, or who's really who plays music, or somebody who makes art in some way, shape, or form.
At Novemberfest, you're definitely going to run into some kind of crust punky kind of people. You're going to run into some indie rockers. You're going to run into a bunch of Austinites with a chip on their shoulder. But then you're also going to run into a couple of weirdos. And maybe that's not always a bad thing. I mean, it's a very creative crowd.
Never know what to expect out here, and it's always good to see new and, creative stuff going on. There's always people doing art in the middle of everything. They're just making weird things. And
let's go. We have our collage making area here. You'll notice all of this stuff is cut up and made into all kinds of shit. Can I cuss on this?
You know, music is why I go, you know, and why I became involved. But there's people making movies, there's people making art. You can make art yourself if you want while you're there, you know. People making food, you know.
You think you're so cool just because you eat food. Other people aren't so lucky, okay?
Okay, make sure you look at the camera.
Hi.
Like, even if it got bad and, you know, it's Lollapalooza and paying $10 for water, I'd probably still come out.
I think that Novemberfest is worth documenting because it's the product of a lot of effort and a lot of love.
Are you taking a picture or are you recording me?
I'm recording you.
Oh, fuck!
Now for the structured settlement. J.G. Wentworth, cash. I
don't have that big of a vocabulary. Wow, belong to? It's gonna happen right there. Get it out of my face! Belongs to everybody. Yeah, mostly Zach. That's the people's I was born and you'll never have to hear me play this song.
All of these artists and musicians and just generally talented people of all stripes, whether they're performing or not, converge on this one strange, isolated place where there is nothing else around you. We are everything while we're there. There's nowhere to go. There is only us in this strange place that mostly Andrew, but to some extent all of us have put together.
There's like a revivalist spirit to Novemberfest, and you want to participate. And
Hey guys, thank you for recycling. Here's the mic. Yes. Okay. Hi. Tomorrow morning, before everybody leaves, if you have room, please grab a bag and actually put it in a recycling bin at home on your street if they pick it up there, or bring it to a recycling center if you can. Do your part. That'd be great. Thank you guys. Little J, everyone.
The juxtaposition between partying and a chapel is clear and obvious, and I think one of the most charming things about Novemberfest. I've slept on that chapel floor many times, and I can't say that I've ever slept at another chapel.
so far away. Now I look as though they're here to stay. Oh, I believe in yesterday. Suddenly I'm not the man I used to be. There's a shadow hanging over me. Oh, yesterday came suddenly. Why she had to go, I don't know, she wouldn't say. I said something wrong. Next, I think it's Lizzie Freedom.
Yeah, man. I only had like 3 in one of them. My girl.
And so me and Drew Erickson discover that there are ribs in this smoker and take a rack of ribs into my tent and just like kind of both falling asleep eating these ribs and just there wasn't barbecue sauce, but just like the reduced juices of this meat just like stuck on our hands, and like rib bones, we're trying to throw them out of my tent, but in the morning there's still like parts of whatever kind of ribs they were in my tent.
And then this one's like, yeah, the bass, right? That thing, like, when you're in doubt, just look to a stranger. Yeah.
I am part of something that is really rare, and that it's hard to explain to other people until they actually experience it themselves. Like the degree to which this sort of like highly personal art can be created without necessarily expecting celebrity or monetary benefits or whatever comes from that. It is rare. I think that it is important.
To me, Novemberfest is a wonderful example of a whole lot of incredibly creative, talented people coming together and getting so drunk that they pass out in a porta potty. And I'm proud of it.
Even if we are navel gazing, then, like what's to be found in your navel, I guess, right? And so, if you got a good tasty navel, share it with the world.
I was looking up sun gazing for a little bit, and it's like you have to start in small increments, stand barefoot in the dirt, and just stare at the sun for like 5 seconds, and then go inside. And then eventually, you increase that tolerance, and you'll never need to eat again. You can just photosynthesize, but you'll probably also be blind.
Somebody give me one of those little tanks that rolls around.